obviously the fans are not happy. They don't believe that he made the best deal possible. What did you take out of Steve Staios' comments yesterday?
Yeah, look, I understand why fans aren't happy, because I think when you have an asset like Vladimir Tarasenko, in your mind, you're thinking, okay, he's going to get a second-round pick, maybe plus a prospect, whatever it is you thought. I don't think anybody thought this would be the return that you're showing, a third and then another pick that might turn into a third, but it's probably going to be a fourth. So it's not a great return. Like, let's be honest, it's not a great return. But let's look at the reason why it's not a great return. Vladimir Tarasenko held all the cards in this one, didn't he? Like, he signed a no movement clause with Pierre Dorion. He got to dictate where he wanted to go. And if you can read between the lines with Steve Staios, and in fact, I think Vladimir Tarasenko spoke to reporters today in Florida. So I apologize if what I'm saying is dated or old news. But I think Tarasenko himself basically said, "This is the only place I'm going." So it was right. So it's not like Steve Staios could take Colorado and Edmonton and Florida and now play them off each other and say, well, guys, best offer is going to get Vladimir Tarasenko, and people that didn't happen. It was Florida basically saying, yeah, we'll take him, and here's what we're gonna give up. And so if Vladdy's going to say this is the only place I'm going to go, well, I don't know how much else Steve Staios could have done here.
It's interesting too, guys. Like, his family has been in Florida.
Yeah.
All year. They're sitting there, and Vladdy's. It would be different if Vladdy hasn't won a cup yet. He's won a cup, so it's not like he needs to go chase after a cup. He's an older guy. If you wait till the end of the, I don't know about you guys. If you just keep waiting, I think there's a chance you get less.
Way less.
Well,
yeah,
right? There's two things.
Yeah, go ahead. So go ahead, Wally.
One, Florida goes, this is the best we're giving you. So either you take it or leave it. And if you don't want it now, we're not circling back because we've got other business to take care of.
Exactly.
Two, the Florida Panthers don't need Vladimir Tarasenko in their lineup. Look how good they are. So they were under no pressure whatsoever to add Vladimir Tarasenko to the lineup. Does he help them? Sure, he's on the top line today. But they didn't have to go out and make this deal. So they had all the cards. Ottawa had zero wiggle room in this thing.
Yeah. The other thing too,
no leverage.
Ian, the other thing too is I was surprised on what Vegas played for Anthony Mantha. 6'5", younger player, and they could have played that off because he didn't have a no movement clause like Tarasenko did. So I thought Vegas did really well on that deal. Mantha's a good player. I'm sorry. Yeah, but he's 6'5" in the playoffs. He's not just one-dimensional. I just thought that kind of set the market for the business which was done after, and namely the Tarasenko trade.
Yeah, and Tarasenko is older than Mantha, right? Mantha's having a better season than Tarasenko, and Mantha got a second and a fourth, right?
Yeah.
So, if you judge it against that, the problem is fans are judging the Tarasenko return against, how come Sean Monahan got it first? Well, he plays a premium position, right? And it's a different set of circumstances. I think. Look, here's what I think. I'm willing to give Steve Staios a pass for a rather kind of bland return. Okay, this isn't where I think Steve Staios is going to make his mark. Where he's going to make his mark is the next big trade. Is it Chychrun? Is it is it somebody else from the core? That's where I think we can effectively judge him because he holds the cards. He didn't hold the cards with Tarasenko, but I think he does here.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
For wholeheartedly. That's the issue. People just saying, oh, well, we should have got this or should have got that. There wasn't that to be had. That's the issue. If you have one team and they happen to be arguably the best team in the league right now, they don't have to make that move. So I know people are upset with the return, but in the end, you rack up draft picks and use them as chips, if you will, in another deal. That may be the best way to help you. But the argument, Mendes, is, and I can see the point. Last year, the Rangers gave up a first to acquire Vladimir Tarasenko. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it's the craziest thing ever heard of. I don't think you would ever get a first, but to not see it even be in the second range and it to be a low third and fourth, That's tough. That's all.
It is, but this is one of the last sort of messy pieces of the previous regime. Like, I don't blame Vladimir Tarasenko. You're going to get a $5 million deal. Okay, go ahead. Staple a no movement clause to it. Like, why wouldn't you ask for it? But that's not on Steve Staios. Steve Staios is like basically, guys, can we agree the Ottawa Senators, it's clean up in aisle 5, right? It's like you're at the supermarket and it's clean up in aisle 5. And don't blame the guy with the mop. Blame the guy who spilled the the pasta sauce all over the place. And that's what we're looking at here. And so I get it. It's not a great return, but understand in the greater context, this isn't the defining move of Steve Staios. I don't think.
No,
go back.
It's the first move of Steve Staios. And dude, he didn't get fleeced. He had nothing to go off of. He had a player that's making $5 million with a no trade clause that says, hey, guess what, Steve? Good luck. I'm your first guy ever, and I hold every single card. That's it. Yeah. That's all it worked. And you take, like, I think Yorkie, you texted it last night. You take the picks and you move on.
Yeah.
And you did right by a guy that lives. I think Pierre had said a couple times in the past that he was like, I did right by the player. That's by the way, that's always bullshit. I think, by the way, always bullshit. I think that Steve actually could back that up by saying, hey, I didn't do right by the player because you told me where you wanted to get traded. I got the maximum value based on that. Or we could have just let you run your timeout here, and you weren't, and you weren't returning anything. You weren't coming back. You weren't staying here. We got a second and a fourth, whatever it is, and you move on. That's guys. Yeah. That's the hard stop. He did everything right.
I don't understand the argument of, well, then just keep him and let him walk at the end of the season. So what does the last 22 games do for you? Nothing.
Nothing.
You're not going to, like, if anything, it's going to hurt your draft order if you start winning more games. Like, I don't understand that. Let's not get anything instead of let's get something, and we'll show them that Steve Staios is going to not be messed with.
Ian, you kind of hinted on it earlier. The colossal mistake was made last summer. Like, I joked about it before you came on. No movement clauses were getting handed out like free coupons at the grocery store. It's like
that's in aisle 6.
You didn't have to give.
Right.
It amazes me. I don't want to slag on Travis Hamonic, but he never should have got a no movement clause. There was zero leverage with that player.
Yorkie, he should have never gotten a contract.
That's besides the point. That's besides. But
I'm trying to be differential when I look at Wally's shirt, but like I don't know how to be.
What's going on there? But and even like Vladdy is going to go to where he got the most money. That took a while, and he was waiting to see who was going to give him the most money, and that was Ottawa. You didn't have to throw in a no move clause, or at least make it 10 teams or something that you could have. Like, you basically gave a player a 1-year deal with basically you're tying you up for the deadline this year to just take it and like it. Like, just sheer stupidity.
Hey, his competing clause was 3.5 with nothing.
Yeah, with Carolina, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I have that on record. His only other option was 3.5 and nothing. And he goes, yeah, of course I'll go to Ottawa, because Pierre was just, we're going to give you 5. In what world would you not sign that?
Right. And I think when you look at it, and I think Yorkie, I think you've tweeted about this, you've talked about this on your show, is like, think of the catastrophe if the Pinto suspension, the timing of that is different. Yeah. And they shed Matthew Joseph for nothing. Like,
not for nothing.
They would have
had to throw in up. They would have had to throw in a sweetener.
Yeah, like, and I think as I start to look at this team right now, Matthew Joseph might be the forward this season who's at least played to, if not exceeded, his expectation level. maybe the most of anyone. So imagine you didn't have him and you had this happen with Tarasenko. Like that's a colossal catastrophe.
Yeah, that's a massive mess in aisle 4 if that happens.
Yeah,
I don't know how you clean that up here. That's pasta sauce.
It's everything. That's
everything.
like orange. That's like grape crush and orange crush. And you smell it's so sticky and you can't get it out. That's
how do you get that out? You can't.
You can't.
There's no way.